Hey!
Hello. This is Sizzle and Morgan. And today we're the guys from Vamoose. We've got Nick May, we've got Hayden Spedsy'Lisle, and we've got Spedsy/Rob Lyle, or Liley as I like to call him. Spodsy. Yes, sorry. So let's get on with the show, shall we?
Let's do it. Hey.
Goes too long. Hello, guys.
Hey.
All right.
Good everyone.
How is everyone?
Spedsy, Hayden, Nick. Hello.
I didn't know that Rob's other nickname was Liley. I've never heard that one before. Did you just make that up then, James?
No, that was a typo. That was a typo that I've.
I think it'll stick.
Yeah, with any luck.
Spedsy'Lisle.
What was it? Liley? What?
Lilo.
Just
blow me up and watch me float.
Fresh.
Lilo. I've forgotten it already. All right, are we doing it?
We're doing it. Let's do it.
I'm ready.
Hey,
My
Mark.
body's ready.
Yo.
Mark, what's up?
Well,
Dave.
Mr. Die.
Hey, Dave.
Early.
All right, team awesome. All right, so let's begin. So, Vamoose, what is it? Where did it begin? And why should we, why should we, be interested? So who would like to start with hopefully one of you guys know, where did it start from? Where did the idea of Vamoose, not Vamoose, that was a drinking joke. But I never did that. Yeah. Rob.
Well, the idea and the what it is it's an anthology. It's an anthology based around a theme or concept that that myself or Nick comes up with. It's kind of I have likened it to comic book improv, where you get a line from the audience and you go wild. So issue 1, it was Too Many Chooks, which was thrown in the hat by me and chosen by Nick from a list of 10. And then we invited various artists and writers to jump in with a story or art or whatever using the concept of Too Many Chooks. And then number 2 was Nick gave me a list of things, and on that list was Not on My Watch. Not on my watch.
My watch.
And
nice.
That's what I chose, and that's what we ran with. In terms of the origin of the idea, well, so there's a gentleman by the name of Josh Chodziesner who runs a book called Heaps, and I had just dropped The Devil's Toilet 2 and wanted to do something else, but Devil's Toilet 2 took me about 10 hours a page to draw, and so 10 hours times 22, I'm not good at maths, seems like a lot.
Lots.
Lots.
Yeah, so I wanted to put something out sooner than that, and I joined Heaps for an issue. I did a little 4-pager thing called Mule, about a mule that gets depressed and then finds joy in the simple things. And Ben. Was Ben, Vamoose alumni. And so Mule was a 2-color, 4-panel a page, extreme close-ups, quick to draw, half an hour to an hour a page, simple sort of thing. And so I said to Josh Chodziesner of Heaps, I said, I'm in for every issue. And he said, no, you're not. This is just a guest spot. And at the same time, an old friend / mentor of mine appeared on Instagram, who I hadn't spoken to for a while. And there was this guy called Cherno Bill, and I recognized the artwork, and I'm called at Spedsy on Instagram. And this Cherno Bill was talking to me using my government name of Rob, and was being overly friendly for a person who I had no idea who it was. And so I went onto the page and I was scrolling through and I was like, this artwork looks familiar. Why does this person talk like they know me? And then I saw May down in the bottom corner of one of the drawings. And I was, that's Nick May. And so I reached out as a gentleman I grew up with. And I said, funnily enough, I've got this idea for a comic where we spend like an hour a page. Like, it's bare bones. It's just like scribble down ideas. You draw half of it. I draw half of it. Let's go. And then he sent me a page and it was beautiful. And I was like, screw that simple artwork stuff. I'm going all in. And we went from there. At the same time, I had been speaking to Hayden. We both write for Reverie Publications. And we were sort of each other's sounding boards. And it sort of felt weird to be starting a project that didn't have Hayden on it because we were so in each other's pockets at the time, and still are, I like to think. And so we tried to make a thing work, and Hayden's become invaluable to the book, and I'll shush and let other people tell their side of it.
I mean, that's a really nice way of saying that I pretty much just kicked down the door and pushed my way into this project. I mean, the origins that you just described sounds a bit like a tragedy, Rob, because here's Nick May, you know, flirting with you on Instagram, and all you want to do is make a comic.
It was a tough period of my life.
and yeah, and then you're the crazy brother that the mum and dad are like, oh, can you bring your brother along? And I'm like, all right. So we Hayden was writing a bunch of books at the time, and so I think the original idea was to write some prose stuff and find an illustrator for him to team up with. And I had just met an illustrator the day before by the name of Emily Grace, and so Hayden and Emily joined forces. But in the meantime, Hayden and Ben Sullivan had been a burgeoning relationship.
Budgeting, you know.
I'm sure it was
budgeting, yeah.
Budgeting, burgeoning, all of it. Detective budgeting. And so they team up for book 2. Yeah.
Very good.
Sweet.
Very good. Thank you. That's 10 minutes on the first question.
Yeah.
So we're going to be 3 questions. Awesome.
I'm just glad Nick. It was great.
So, Nick, let's throw to you yourself. Would you like to say a little bit about let's go issue 1, your work in issue 1, the story, the characters, and what was kind of the inspiration or the main thought that sort of kicked them off? And I'll show a little bit if you like while you're doing that.
Yeah, sure. So one of my favorite comics of all time, well, no, it's a series, is the Tintin books. So really love Tintin and Captain Haddock, and really wanted to have sort of that sort of dynamic between 2 sort of disparate characters. And so I came up with Sputnik and Thunderguts. And my original idea was that Sputnik was going to be like Craven the Hunter. He was going to have sort of a Russian accent and whatever. And I thought, yeah, I'm not sure if that's racist or not. And it is. I think I decided it was. So I took away the accent. But having spoken to Rob, I wanted to have something simple, but a little bit silly, and with the whole theme of chooks and whatever. A story came to me pretty quickly, but as Rob will tell you, I think I came up with about 20 pages and had to pare that back. And I had them riding goats and visiting farms, and too many chooks were creating their own weather cycles and all of that sort of stuff. And I thought, I can't draw any of that sort of rubbish. So, I went much more simple than that. kept some of my original ideas, brought on some new stuff. But basically, and I've said it before, I sort of write and draw for myself. So anything that I find funny or silly, I'm pretty keen to put in there. But having said that, when I looked at my issue 1 stuff, I thought, well, I was a bit heavy with the lines there, and the lettering was a little bit big and all of that sort of stuff. So I like to think that between the first and second issues, I've sort of evolved a little bit, and for the third, I've evolved a little bit more, and hopefully I'll keep doing that. So, yeah, did I answer any question? I'm not sure, but
you did. You answered all one of them. You answered very well. No, it's good. That was very, very good. Thank you very much. So, young Hayden, I think I can say young. I presume you're younger than I am. I'm 80. So young Hayden. So writing, why don't you tell us a little bit about your stories, your involvement, and what it's like as a writer in this enterprise, rather than being one of those illustrators. So maybe a little bit about the process that you went through with that.
Yeah, I'm really lucky. I mean, firstly, that Rob invited me onto it. Early on, he was sort of, as he kind of spoke to, he was brainstorming a lot, and we spoke about things like the title and what he wanted to achieve with the book. And I was having a really good time just being that sounding board for him and offering something if I could. But then he got thinking, how can Hayden get involved? And so I didn't really know. And then he had this idea that we could include a prose element, get an illustrator on. And it was sort of this really amazing experience, because it sort of proved what Rob was trying to do with this book. And that was that he was trying to create this little community of just creators making comics based on a theme, but they're just sort of, we're all having fun, and we're experimenting, and we're playing around with it. And so that's kind of my approach to the writing that I'm doing on the book. I think I'm the only solo writer in there at this stage. No, I think Peter Wilson might have I don't know.
Peter
anyway,
Wilson,
yeah. So it's been sort of a chance to just challenge myself as a writer, because I don't, some of these stories that I'm writing are. What did we do? We had to get a 500-word story down to like 250 or something at one point.
Yeah. That's real tough.
Yeah, it's been so much fun, and Emily Grace is an incredible illustrator. So I'm finding that the less I can write, the more we can just like bathe in the glory of her art. It's gorgeous stuff. And she's another one who's just like, each new issue is just better than the last. It's crazy. I can't wait for people to see issue 3. It's really cool. And then I'm working with Ben as well. So Ben Sullivan and I, we work together a fair bit. That's more of Emily's.
Yeah, you can see there. So we sort of learned from the first one that 2 full pages of text can be a little bit daunting in a comic book. And so, we sort of work to get it. The story's a little bit more, I don't know, succinct and snappier, and give Emily more room to play. Yeah. Sorry, Hayden. She's
also taken on the typesetting there. So I laid the text for the first issue, and I think you can kind of tell that hers was a little bit better. But yeah. And then me and Ben and I, we're doing, it's sort of a whole other different challenge for me as a writer, is that we're telling 9-panel 1-page stories. So again, it's that just pairing it right back and telling something weird and very conceptual, and sort of, sorry, Rob and Nick, but we have said to each other, if we fail every now and then, we fail. If the story doesn't work, then we've learned something from it.
That's comics.
Buy the book.
No, it makes the book there's a song can be boring if it's just the same tone played the whole way through. If you read Vamoose, me and Nick are sort of like whimsical, a little bit nutty, and then like Hayden and Ben come in as like, whoa, This is like a think piece. Holy, yeah. I'm
And
questioning my existence.
the artwork's quite different as well, which adds to that same sort of, slightly different texture.
Yeah.
It's a palette cleanser.
Yeah.
Too much zaniness, and it's a little bit too much. So a little bit of dark chocolate to help even things out a bit. I don't know, dark chocolate. I'm not a chef, damn it. I'm not a chef.
Yeah, that's what we got. The two whitest guys we could find to bring the dark chocolate to Vamoose. So,
Bring the goods. So, Mr. Rob, now I've got to ask you about this fella here.
yeah.
So, tell us a little bit about that young fella. I'm not saying he's modeled after me or anything when I didn't have a beard, but
That's
tell us
why
a bit
I
about
grew a beard.
And let me just say I loved this piece, and I loved just the nice little twist in there, right down my alley, that sort of stuff. But anyway, why don't you tell us a little bit where the idea came from, and
if Dave Dye plays him in the movie, you can play him in the flashbacks where it's like him as a younger man. Nice. That would be awesome. So Old Man Biscuit is a character that I've had. I can't even remember for how long, since my late teens. Is basically started as an old guy who his catchphrase or the tagline to all his stories was more swords than sense. So he basically had solved all his problems with violence with a copious amount of swords. And then so when it came time to Gary Deller actually said there was an opportunity in one of his books to put a little 2-page Devil's Toilet tease thing in there. And I couldn't think of what to do that wouldn't upset the Devil's Toilet continuity. So I reached back and grabbed an old character, which was Old Man Biscuit. And I did this little 2-page thing of him chasing the demons that are let loose in Devil's Toilet 2. I have him chasing some through the city, sort of teasing that this character will eventually join the Devil's Toilet Spedsy'Verse of it all. And then when it came time to do this book, I was on an old man kick. I was I'd been downloading. This sounds weird, but I've been downloading lots of photos of old dudes. And
yeah, that does sound weird.
Yeah, we all go through that phase. And just using them as a drawing exercise to draw their faces, all the wrinkles, and just using more lines. My stuff is really bare bones with lines. There's Old Man himself, Old Man Biscuit. So when it came time to put this book together, I had sort of already wedged this guy into the Spedsy'Verse, so it seemed like the one to pick and expand on his story a little bit. There's a Faith No More song from the Angel Dust record. I think it's track 4, and it's a song that pretty much the whole part of it's narrated, and it's about this a drop kick of a father who's
never going to amount to nothing.
That's the song. And that's sort of the song in my head when I am writing / drawing Old Man Biscuit. You can see in that stuff you just held up, it's 4 panels per page at the start, extreme close-ups, very little color, because that's what we were aiming for originally. And then as it goes on, you can tell where I see Nick's stuff, because suddenly I go, more panels, more stuff going on, more color. Got to keep up with Nick. So I've become locally obsessed with Old Man Biscuit. Spoiler alert, at the end of issue 2, death comes for Old Man Biscuit. Issue 3, let's just say Jon Snow's resurrection ain't got nothing on issue 3 of Vamoose, because Old Man Biscuit's back with a vengeance. Nice. This may or may not be his last issue of Vamoose, because he might be heading to the main book in the Spedsy'Verse, The Devil's Toilet. That's all I can say.
Wow. You heard it here first, ladies and gentlemen.
Yeah. No.
That's an exclusive. Do we have a thing? No, we don't have a thing.
No, we don't have a thing. We'll have to make a thing.
I'll make a thing.
There's 3 people out there that probably care about that, and all three of them are in this room. So
Oh, I was going to say, and now all those 3 people know about it.
Yeah, no spoilers. Now I've got to change my story.
yeah.
All right, so let's take a little bit of a left turn, if we shall. So I'll throw to you, Nick, but tell me if you need a bit more time. So this one's a little bit weird. What is an idea that you have come up with, or you've thought about, that you played with, that is just too insane to draw or write? Something that you really would like to, but you're just kind of holding off on it, if you're willing to share it. Obviously, because some dude will steal it and then you're done. So just be aware of that. Yeah.
Yeah. So I drew a rough draft of Vamoose 3 that included lots of nuns and an abbey that was called Blandon Abbey after the great Neil Blandon. And it was about these women who had discovered a robot in, let's say, 1829. No, let's not say that. But and the robot injected them with nanites or something. And then by the end of the issue, they were going to merge together to become this tank-like thing called Motor Superior. And
nice.
I just thought, yeah, I don't know. I'm pretty sure that other people in this panel have told us to steer away from religion and that sort of stuff. So, so I scrapped that entire idea. But yeah, I don't know. I'm aware, Morgan, of my limitations. So the sorts of things that I like to steer away from backgrounds and drawing a character in more than one pose. I try to steer away from that. So basically, all of my stories are just a cut and paste of a 3/4 view of my characters. But yeah, as far as
out the secrets.
Yeah, well, I don't know if they're secrets actually for anybody who is who's looked at issues 1 and 2 and anything else that I've done. But yeah, there's more stuff that I'd like to do. I don't know if Vamoose lends itself to superheroes in my style, but eventually when we get to issue 4, I've sort of got an homage to an old superhero in there, and I'll see how that goes. He says as if he's drawn it. Yeah, but I would like to experiment with stuff at the moment. Anybody who's seen my Instagram page will know that I'm a tiny little bit obsessed with sort of parodies of pulpy heroes at the moment. So I drew a Dick Tracy parody. It's not an homage. And I've also been sort of obsessed with Doc Savage and The Shadow, and I'm sort of thinking that I would like to draw something like that. So again, I'm not necessarily scared of anything but backgrounds. But yeah, and as my style evolves, the stories come to me and that sort of stuff. So yeah, so I guess I will go where the winds take me. And if anybody wants to steal my ideas, please do, because I'm much more interested, I've found, in reading other people's comics than I am in creating my own. So steal away. Make NFTs out of my stuff.
There you go. Very good. Okay, I'm going to be thinking
Invitation.
about Motor Superior for a while there. Okay, Hayden, an idea that, yeah, you've thought of, that you just thought, I really want to do this, but for some reason it's too weird, or you haven't gone ahead with it, or yeah.
It's a hard one.
Just let me get a pen. All right. So
yeah, no, be my guest. So I think that a lot of the stories that I get really excited about initially, and then I sort of get almost paralyzed by, or I get a little bit sort of overwhelmed by where it could go, and once that happens, it tends to kind of just I hit a wall as soon as it gets too big in that initial stage. So like there's and I guess conversely, a lot of the stories I like to read, a lot of the comics are very sort of mythologically driven, like the Sandman, I guess. Stories that have just these immense scopes. So it's really easy to start going down this path of wanting to tell stories that are huge and momentous and epic and whatever, all these big words. But I often find that I tend to shy away from them after that initial sort of brainstorming period. So there was one story that was kind of, I think I might have spoken to Rob about this actually quite recently. Don't know if I remember, but it was sort of this idea of parallel dimensions, but for each sort of stage of, life, death, before life, all this sort of weird stuff. And all of a sudden you go down this path of, okay, what are the rules of this universe you're trying to create? And it just becomes this like fog, and it's just horrifying. And so I just kind of shelve it for a while, and I'll let it simmer in the back of my mind, and maybe I'll come back to it, or maybe I'll just let it die. But yeah, sometimes it's like that. I think that particularly for me, and particularly lately, I find it's quite comforting to try and rein it in and sort of narrow my field of vision, focus on one issue, or focus on a shorter story. That's my cat.
No.
Yeah. So I guess that's a long-winded way of saying that I don't do any of my wild ideas.
So the follow-up question, are there anything that you write that you have a spreadsheet for to keep track of?
I did used to do stuff like that. That's such a rabbit hole though. Like I found that I was planning too much at one point. I think it's a real balancing act. So I've done that in the past, but I try not to do it. I try and limit. Obviously, you have to have a plan, and you have to have an idea of what your structure is, and blah blah blah. But I have to have an idea. But yeah, you can end up in the weeds and get nothing done because you're too busy overthinking every step of the way.
Yeah. So speaking of overthinking every step of the way, Spedsy, so you've had plenty of time to think. What's your genius, weird, and I'm hesitant to ask, what's the weirdest thing that you've thought of that you haven't quite gone with?
Yeah, well, so I'm sure you guys are well aware of my story, but I'll say it all again anyway. Yeah, so I've been drawing for as long as I can remember, and Nick May's brother is my best friend, Dan May, and I grew up either Dan living at my house or me living at Dan's house, and Dan shared a room with Nick, and he had a drawing board, and it was full of Nick's comics. Nick's like drawings and his own comics, and so I would spend the whole time poring over these drawings, and it's like I got a lot of my style from that. So it's hard for me in a way to actually work out where my ideas start and how much I've stolen, because a lot of my characters, particularly my early ones, solve their problems with violence. A lot of Nick May's characters solve their problems with violence. And so I wonder, chainsaws. And so I wonder, was I drawn to Nick's stuff because that's how I thought as well? Or was I a young boy, easily impressionable, saw this stuff and was like, oh, that's what you do?
Why don't we let my lawyers decide?
Either way, so my art could be considered cute, or like a Simpsons type sort of style. And so what I did then was to juxtapose that. I would have them doing horrible things, that cutting each other's heads off and all that sort of stuff, to offset the cuteness. And so I have a lot of characters, and Devil's Toilet was one of them, who would pull out guns and, like, if you looked at him the wrong way, he would shoot your head off and there'd be blood everywhere and whatever. So
it sounds like you're like rebelling against your own style, Rob.
Well, yes. Weirdly, all the people that they used to shoot looked a lot like me. So my toilet characters shot like generic guy with brown hair. But yeah, so years ago I did this. I don't think I can even mention it because it's so wrong. But it was a dog that had a penis for a nose, 3 boobs, and a penis for a tail. Now I don't know what his story was, but every time he barked, well,
no, Rob.
I was going to say that story wasn't based on any of my
I used to
put that out there, Nick. Just put that out there.
I've got a thing right here. I'll see if I can grab it.
Oh, you don't have to show
it.
Yeah, no. But this is like
for this one.
This is a thing I was commissioned for back in the day. Can you do a three panel comic strip on the back of our heavy metal things? This took everything that Devil's Toilet used to do and all the other characters, and it's basically just meet a person, the person says the wrong thing, shoot his head off. I did 3 of these cards, and so that's the sort of thing I guess I think is too much for me to be doing these days. Anyway, let's try and forget Penis Dog. Moving on.
Let's try to, but it might not happen.
So question for Spedsy or Nick around the art style. So given your styles that are distinct but have similarities, have you ever considered it seems barbaric, but doing like a larger piece, like a graphic novel sort of size thing, but deadly serious, like dramatic or intense or whatever, but just in your own art style? I know that would be a huge bit of work just for a funny, like, hey, let's do this. But have any of you considered that sort of thing?
Yes, I have, and I'm trying. I have a book coming out called Sluggish, which is will be on Kickstarter. The Notify Me Now thingy is up if you go to psychojanitor.com. It has jokes, but its catchphrase, if I can remember off the top of my head, is something like, "Who needs action, adventure, and thrilling heroics when you can have depression, anxiety, and a bunch of slugs?" So it's a slug type character.
Nice.
And this is it's a fault of a few people: Nick May, Nick Cleary, yourself, Sizzle, just different people being speaking to. But a big one is Steve Saul, who does reviews for comx.net.au. He is a fan of my stuff. I think he always reviews it very, very nicely. He's reviewed Vamoose 1 and 2, Devil's Toilet 1 and 2. His reviews always end with the same line, like variations on the same line. It's sort of like, if you come looking for the answer to human existence, don't come here. These books are silly and fun, or something like that. And I said, right, no more silly and fun. I'm bringing it. So there are real stakes and stuff in the Devil's Toilet, but it's meant to be a good time. Sluggish does have some jokes, but it's a look at depression and social anxiety and stuff like that. It's part 1 of what I hope will be 3 or 4 issues that I then want to collect into one big thing and see how it goes. I'm almost tempted to bring it up. I don't know if the world could deal with it. I do have one image of it.
It can be the subject of a drink and draw sometime, Rob.
Yeah.
That'll be a late night one. A late night drink and draw.
I have a short answer, Morgan. No.
Yeah.
I always think that there are people like Rob and people like Hayden and other people as well who do serious stuff really well. And
thanks, Duncan.
Why add to it? So I'm content. I'm content to noodle around and live in the past and have stupid homage jokes to 80s and 90s music and that sort of stuff, and that satisfies me. Sometimes when I am thinking about stories and I'm like, oh yeah, that's good, and I think, well, that where am I going to fit the jokes? Where am I going to put the stupid stuff in? No,
Hey,
I'm
Zach.
not doing that story. So g'day, Zach. Yeah, so again, no, I'm not necessarily tempted to do anything serious.
Funnily enough, though, I did hit Nick with an idea late last year, which will be, if and when we do it, it would be me writing and Nick drawing the majority of. It will be comedic, but it will be serious. I would love to make it be Nick May's most serious work and put some challenging, like, I need this person to be crying and I need you to be crying while you draw it. Like that sort of
And that person is looking at Wang Dog, and that's why they're
Wang Dog gets divorced. Wang Dog loses his job.
Yeah.
Wow.
Wang Dog can't keep his nose straight now.
Oh, no. You had to go there, didn't you? I'm just going to throw this question up because people probably want to know this one as well. Where did Vamoose come from?
I actually like this story. So my name is Rob and Nick May's name is Nick. What? Both of them, when you think about it, you can rob a bank and you can nick stuff. So we tried to do a combining of those two things. We did it's called pillage. It's called tails stolen from the something. Like we were trying to do a stealing, thieving, something, whatever. And it was actually going back and forth with Hayden. What did we land on, Nick? One that we landed on something before.
Yeah, it was tails to enlighten pillage. No, I don't know. It was something about stealing stuff. Yeah. Mainly the ideas that I was going to use. Yeah.
And then running past Hayden, I was just like, while I was chatting with Nick about it, I was talking to Hayden. I was like, this is what we got. We're doing a Rob, Nick, thievy type thing. And Hayden said, well, what about after you've robbed a Nick? What do? You flee. And I was like, oh, you're Vamoose. And I didn't even give Nick a choice. I was like, I've just Googled it. There's nothing we can do. It's called Vamoose. And here's the title one. He's like, oh, all right. Yeah.
Nice.
So once you rob people or nick stuff, what do? You Vamoose. There you go.
So it was plunder or something, wasn't it?
That's right, plunder.
Plunder, and I think there was already something that existed, which made it slightly problematic. But Vamoose it was, and I believe that Hayden might downplay his role in it, but it's my understanding that Hayden was super instrumental in, at the very least, Rob coming up with that title. So yeah. And it's
the whole book, really.
I was just being a total killjoy when Rob was telling me all these ideas. I think I was saying stuff like plunder. That kind of sounds like a little bit depressing.
And
I think the title in the end, it sort of speaks to that this anthology is it's about escapism, and it's about getting away and having a good time and just throwing yourself into these weird and wacky stories. So Vamoose seemed to fit. So yeah,
it does very much so.
And the good thing, when you have Hayden on a book, not only do you have a really good creative mind, but then you've also brought in an editor, a typesetter, a graphic designer. Like it's, you backdoor yourself into and you're like, oh, you've got a member of the team who can basically do all of it. And what do you look for in a story?
Sorry, in Vamoose.
I don't know. Well, I
was wondering that as well.
Well, so it's tricky. So for the most part, we've invited people, and we've invited people that we know and trust, I guess. And so we don't even look at scripts or anything. It just rocks up. And it's
that's the royal we, by the way. That's Rob.
No, I
know that we will.
It comes to the psychogenitor offices, and I knock on Nick's office door and say, "Hey, you got a minute? Come and have a look." And he puts down what he's working on, and we go and have a look, knock on Hayden's door, and we all meet in the lunchroom. So it's been just people we trust, and then it just rocks up fully done, complete, awesome. Not that there are people that I don't trust, but it would just be scary to just say, everyone, yeah, just go for it, and then get some pages and go, oh no, what's this? Like Dave Dye showed us like little bits of his, and I was like, oh, is that a condom in that panel? Oh no, what is this going to be? Came through, and it's so delightfully awesome. So that there was nothing to worry about, but it just did make me think, oh, maybe I should have my sort of eyes on these things before they are all finished and done. Speaking of which, can I show you just a few little teasers?
Yeah, go for life. Please. I'll let you drive.
Yeah, so this is just little samples. Dave Dye is in the book. He does a 4-page story that's absolutely awesome. These are just little snapshots of little panels. Dana Lawson joins us for a little 4-page story that I wrote and she drew. We have Robbie Donaldson and Peter Wilson. They're doing this. Cool. Yeah, I don't want to, you know how I always say, well, you should spoil it a little bit so that people want to read it. But this has got a little twist in it that's just so much fun. It sort of deals with that sort of, what do you call that, Nick? The ferryman? Is that like a take on the ferryman, the guy that takes you
over the River Styx? I think his name's Chris de Berg, and you shouldn't pay him until he gets you to the other side.
Right.
Ah, okay.
No, it's the song. Don't pay the ferryman. Come on.
Oh, okay.
Jesus.
That's a good point. Let me write that down. Don't pay the Excellent.
This is a little look at Emily Grace's illustration for a story called Rusty by her and Hayden.
Nice.
Chris Pecan and Nicole Kane are doing a story. Ooh. This is just a little sample panel.
Oh, very
like
cool.
A bit of a space adventure. So for those who don't know this, the concept for issue 3 is robots and rowboats. Which
it is.
You can take that as seriously as you want. There are people who have done, like Pete and Robbie, literal robots in literal rowboats. And then, other people like Alex Major, who brings the delightfulness with an awesome little twist at the end. It's basically 3 Indian miner birds that fall in love and then fight about it for 3 pages. That's just a little sample. There's a bunch of other cool stuff from other cool people. That's just
there's some cool stuff from me. I'm sort of exploring what it means to be a man in the 21st century. Ooh. And well, that's what happens on the first page. So Thunderguts is wondering about what does he have to do to be a man, and the suggestion is to get a tattoo, and then hilarity ensues, including robots and rowboats.
Ah, nice.
My story deals with the consequences of issue 2, where Old Man Biscuit suffocates in space. And you see in the last panel, he is saved by a crew from a spaceship. That crew is for the long time people. I just suddenly thought of this. So I had a podcast years and years ago called Toothbrush Love. We had a radio play on there called Space Cheese, which actually, now that I think about it, goes back even further. There's a local radio station called Knox FM, and I had a radio show on that in my early 20s with 2 mates, and we did a radio play called Space Cheese, which is about this little gang that fly around in a spaceship, and basically the galaxy is ruled by space cheese. There's only a fine amount of this cheese. It's real serious stuff, you guys. And this cheese powers spaceships and all this sort of stuff, and so the whole galaxy fights over space cheese. Then
Was it
with
called
June?
June?
Yeah.
Really, I've not seen June. Is it in June? Is
It is.
Stan?
Yeah, they mine the cheese, and it's the whole thing. They use it to
Cheese
travel.
worms and all sorts of stuff.
Yeah, yeah.
You're breaking my heart, you guys. Also, in Badly Beaten Boy, there was this brief moment where I was going to start my comic book career like 10 years ago. And in the back, Pat McKenna was going to draw the Space Cheese Chronicles, but we just never got around to it, which were his take on the characters from the radio play. And then so I bring them into Vamoose 2, and then they take the starring role in Vamoose 3, and maybe onwards. Don't know. I was saying this, I think, to either Hayden or Nick, that Old Man Biscuit's he's going to move on, and the Space Cheese guys are going to take over. Then I was like, they're actually a bit of a bitch to draw, the Space Cheese guys. I think I want Old Man Biscuit back. So there might be a last-minute rewrite where they all die and he survives. I don't know.
very, very good. Here they come. Get ready for the cheese puns.
Yeah.
Okay, so first thing, before we get to so this is the penultimate question. Where do people go? Where do they find issue number 3? Sales pitch. Now's your chance.
Well, you can get issues 1 and 2 of Vamoose from ComX.shop. You can also get it from psychojanitor.com. That's psychojanitor, spelt psychojanitor.com. There you can buy all the previous issues in the shop. On the front page is a link to the Kickstarter, which will be launching hopefully late February, May, June, sometimes June. That's June with a D.
when I finish.
Everyone's art and story is in except for me and Nick. So we're just going to do our piece. That will be for Devil's Toilet 3, Vamoose 3, and Sluggish number 1. So psychojanitor.com. That's where you can find it all.
Fantastic. Okay, thank you very much. So now we are at the most highly anticipated question of the night. I have to ask 3 of you separately. Favorite food, watching which favorite movie? Nick may go.
Right. Well, my favorite movie is the version of RoboCop that was released in Australian cinemas that had all of the swearing dubbed over. So when a guy was called an asshole, they dubbed over and he was called an airhead and that sort of stuff. It was the most amazing movie that I've ever seen, and it took me until last year to track down a version of it. So I don't want to body shame myself, but any food is fine while I'm watching the overdubbed version of the original RoboCop.
Awesome.
Fantastic.
That's
Hayden,
a great choice.
Favorite food, favorite movie, or just a movie you would like to watch again?
Okay. Favorite food. This is gonna sound like a vegan rant. I promise it's not. But my favorite food used to be almond magnums, and I think I'm on an endless quest to find a suitable replacement because there's nothing vegan that matches the quality. So that's kind of a tragedy for you all. Still trying to find my favorite food. Favorite movie? I'm a sucker for like Blade Runner and Alien, those sort of classic sci-fi.
Oh, nice.
Sci-fi cross horror or cross noir, those hybrid 80s films. Yeah.
So watching one of those sci-fi type of flicks with the memory of an almond, and
How depressing.
Maybe at some point there will be a replacement that's
those
viable.
movies are just not as good anymore.
And Spedsy?
Well, just to this might sound like a non-vegan rant, but just the flesh of any animal, basically.
Still sounds vegan.
Well, so my movie, my favorite movie is not very like that's a real writer's choice of a movie. Like if you ask me when I was in my teens, it would have been Tango and Cash. In my 20s, it would have been Mallrats. In my 30s,
nice.
It would have been Serenity. And now it's Avengers Endgame, the most popcorniest movie of the world. As you can see, I grew up on comic books. And that movie is just like, I have what I like to call coolness tears. Almost the whole movie, and that's just basically, this is so cool.
Whenever it was as good as Infinity War.
Yeah,
that's my tears. That's my tears as well.
See, I just watched Infinity War again last Saturday to gear up for this Saturday when I'm going to watch Endgame again for like the 10th time.
Oh, nice.
But yeah, anytime that the two Marvel characters like stand side by side, then I'm just like, oh, there they are. So like, you know, when all the toxic fanboys were all just like, why all the girls stand together? And I was just like, because they're awesome. And my favorite food would be, well, for the Tango and Cash, it would have been KFC. Mallrats would have been salt and vinegar chips. Serenity, KFC again. And now it's probably Mexicana pizza with hot salami and jalapenos, because I just want to feel something. If your mouth's burning, you know you're alive, mate.
Yeah.
That's why you're crying, you know that.
Yeah. They're standing next to each other and this pizza's freaking hot.
Okay, so we are now at the point in the show where we present our wonderful gift. Now, unfortunately, we only had time and inclination to draw one character. So, or did we? Tell me you didn't cheat.
No, I just did the one.
You just did the one.
I didn't have time. I didn't have time.
You were giving me the hang on, but no.
No, I was giving that the one. I just did the one.
Fizzle, did you cheat like you always did? Did you get like Jim Lee or something to draw the Devil's Toilet or something like that?
Well, no. I actually did it myself this time.
Hey, isn't there a question you ask where the character goes to McDonald's or something?
There is. I can ask that one. I had that one. I was
looking forward to that one. I can't remember what it is though.
All right. Okay. For old time's sake, you got to pick a character. It can be either a villain or a protagonist. You're in the car with them. They're in the back seat. You're going through McDonald's drive-through. What are they ordering? So maybe Old Man Biscuit.
Mine would be Devil's Toilet would be in the back seat.
Right.
And
what does the toilet eat?
Yeah, I've never even addressed whether or not he eats. So I just like
you put in it.
Throw a Big Mac in the bowl and
flush away.
You'd think for a question I was looking forward to, I'd have a better answer. But yeah.
I was going to say, I thought you had something in the chamber ready to go.
Yeah, so did I.
In the chamber at all.
Nothing there.
I just want McDonald's. That's all.
Nick, did you want to answer that one?
Yeah, so I would be in the car with Minty Frisket, and wouldn't matter where he was sitting, he would end up shooting the person who served him at the drive-through window. He'd probably ask for a short back and sides, and then realise it wasn't a drive-through barber. Maybe.
Does Minty Frisket solve all these problems with violence, Nick?
Yeah, I think I learned that from you, Rob.
Okay. Yeah. When I was a fetus looking at your drawing board. You're like, what's the fetus doing here?
It was weird.
And Hayden, have you got? You can pick any character that you've ever written if you like.
I'll cheat then because I'll use a character that I didn't invent, but I'm in a bit of a Torn phase doing a bunch of littering at the moment. So Torn's in the back of the seat and he's threatening to kill me if I don't take him to McDonald's because I don't eat that. But definitely would.
Do you know what he would order?
Rob, you're probably more qualified to make that call.
It'd be a double quarter pounder.
Oh, that's what I was thinking.
Yeah, it's just that sort of jerk.
He just seems like that sort of person.
Yeah.
I thought at least one of you would say he wouldn't be able to decide because he's torn. Come on. It was there, people. It was there. Anyway.
I saved the jokes for the Devil's Toilet books. Torn is where I'm dead serious, mate.
It's
Fair
I'll
enough.
have no pun jokes.
Nothing funny at all. All
No
right.
puns.
No
I
puns.
often send him angry messages after I've let it an issue saying, "Where the hell are the jokes? Why am I
What's the big
crying?"
deal, bro? What's the deal?
Why am I crying?
It's
Your
the
pizza
pizza,
too hot.
Hayden.
All righty, so let's do the presentation. Sizzle, and again,
Who first?
apologies to Nick. We'll have to do another one for yourself, and to Hayden, we'll have to do one. So this one is
Yes,
for you.
definitely.
Whichever
Hey.
you want, Sizzle.
Yeah, it just happened to be one of your characters. I just picked a cover. Anyway, we'll go with Nick first because that seems to be a tradition. Morgan first because that seems to be a bit of a tradition.
Oh, I
I've
see
noticed.
what you did there. Bloody
Yeah.
awful.
Hey! Toilet.
Toilet.
Nice.
Toilet.
Yeah.
I love it. That's awesome.
It's recognizable. People could kind of
Yes.
see what it is.
Yeah. That's
And I
branding.
didn't go for the toilet.
Hey.
Hey.
Octopus.
Oh, I love it.
Wow.
Hang on,
really cool.
hang on. I see pencils and I see pens. I thought the agreement was straight to ink, 10 minutes, no putting around with pencils. Oh,
Damn you,
well,
big screen. Damn you.
I have a rule that's like never make a decision in ink that you didn't already make in pencil. Looking at those tentacles, you made so many decisions in ink that you did not
Yes,
agree
I
to
did.
pencil.
Yes, I did. I made quite a few.
I'm with you, Sizzle.
The pencils were all over the shop.
Yeah.
Thanks, Peter.
All right.
Hey, Peter.
There we go. So we'll be doing a Kickstarter for our own artwork book sometime in 2020. Never, but we'll see how we go. Yeah, we'll keep you guys in the loop.
Those will be Kickstarter stretch goal covers for Vamoose 3.
Can you
nice.
imagine one of them on the front? That would be great.
Keeping the
Smug
pencils
mark.
online, of course. No
I would love
razor.
it if you could send me them though, because I am compiling the back. What do you call it? The back stuff in Devil's Toilet. So that'd be cool.
That's
to
the
called end
formal
matter.
word for it.
Yeah,
Oh,
I don't
definitely.
think you call
Matter.
it the back
That's right.
stuff.
End
Yeah.
or end matter.
I heard that
Well,
Shane
I like
actually,
your terminology. What was it? Back stuff.
yeah, I heard that
No,
We're
Shane
not putting
actually,
back stuff in the movie. Come on. In the comic.
Shane has to sleep on a pile of comics each night because the only way he can get comfortable because he has back issues.
Doesn't it recharge his because of back issues? Yeah.
Yeah,
Hang on, how
okay.
come you're allowed
Yes,
to do the puns?
I do have back issues. This is true. Yes, yes.
Yeah.
All right.
That was a great point to end on. I think that was wonderful.
There you go, Morgan. Our
Oh,
skills are improving
Hey,
Nice.
Hey, from the
Yes.
master.
thumbs
from the
up.
master.
All right, that puts a bit of pressure on for next week. God,
Yeah, it does, doesn't it?
man.
I'll have to rub out my pencils next time so I don't get caught out.
Yeah.
Never give in, Sizzle.
That was
We know I
horrendous.
won't. We know I won't. I'll leave it there so all can see.
Make
All
sure
right.
you stick around to the end of the show to find out what books the guys didn't read this week.
Yes.
Hey! I read one this week. I read one.
Shots fired.
Woo! I kid because I love. You're not laughing, you're
Yeah, we'll
crying.
show you another package that we're unpacking.
Yeah,
that we've
I've got
already
another one to
repacked.
open.
Yeah.
I'll read it as we go.
All right. Well, I read one. I did the work, man. I did the
Awesome.
work. Yeah. All right. Well, that's it. That's this bit done. Goodbye.
Peace out.
You do.
Cheers,
do
guys.
You're better at this bit. You say the goodbye to the lads.
We were attacked on our own show. This is true.
You were.
Well, thanks for coming on, Vamoose team. I'll call you. Just save me going through the
Thank you.
names. Thank you very
Thanks
much.
for
It was
having
an
us.
absolute pleasure. Great laugh. There was some tears, and lots of tears apparently because of pizza. And yeah, thanks a lot. Have a great night. Good luck on the Kickstarter. I've put the link
Thanks.
into as many things as I could.
Yeah, thanks,
press
man.
that notify, everyone. Press that notify.
Yeah,
Yeah,
do
that'd
it.
be awesome.
Everyone.
So you get to find out when it actually gets released in March, April, May, June, some of those months. Take your pick.
Don't say June.
Definitely.
Don't say June,
2022.
Just, I'm scared now that they've got cheese in it. I haven't seen it. Maybe I should see it.
Cool. Well, thank you very much. Have a great one. Look forward to next time we have you on, and yeah, have fun. See you.
Thanks, Sis. Thanks, Morgan.
Thanks, guys. Thanks so much.
And I'm not ready with the thing at all. Okay, here we go.
Before we go.
Woo! Oh, I don't like that screen.
What happened there? That was an extreme close up we didn't need.
Yeah,
Really
exactly.
don't need to see that stuff too close.
No, not at all. And this time, unlike Spedsy's little dig, then I actually did read something this time.
Oh, you
I'll
did?
go first. I did.
All right, you go for it.
I reread, so I cheated.
Nice.
But I reread,
That's,
and I thought this was a good timing as well because we've got the Kickstarter going at the moment.
And we've got them on next week, don't we?
We've got them next week. Yeah, that sounds right. I'm so organized.
Giving you one to just knock off and just go, yes, we do. That's all. That's all right. We're good.
Hang on, let's get that cover in there. There's Lana Luca number 1. We've got Lana Luca number 2 in the Kickstarter as we speak.
Yeah.
I made there's a link for it, a short link that I made. It's comx.vip/Lana2, the number 2, not the word 2. So yes, Lana Luca ties. It's actually funny because I read this the second time today, and there were things I missed the first time I read it, which, like the mermaid chick that has been talked about in the Drink and Draw last week or the week before, whenever it was, about Lana Luca number 2. I didn't notice her the first time I read this, and she's in here. It's who calls Lana.
Yeah,
I think it's who Lana calls, and it just I totally forgot about that.
There's a lot more in that first issue, than what you pick up in the first read. You kind of have to go back. Yeah.
Yes, you have to go back and read it again because I noticed the mermaid chick. I noticed the I didn't notice that there's this sort of like another world inside a world. And only some people can see that other world. So Lana Luca is sort of part of that world. The fact that she's I want to say jackaroo.
Animal lady person?
Yeah, I forget what it's called.
I forgot too.
No, I've got jackaroo in my head now. It won't go away. So yeah, whatever you call that thing that she is, the rabbit antler thing.
The rabbit antler thing. That's the one.
Yeah, the rabbit antler thing. That's what we're going with. And there's something in the private chat. I'm guessing it's going to jackalope. I knew there was a jack in there somewhere.
There you
jackalope. Go. So she's a jackalope, and only some people can see that. Now, I didn't realize that the first time I read this.
Yeah.
I didn't realize that other people were seeing her as human. I was wondering why she's walking around with these giant ears and things, and no one seems to be really noticing or paying attention to it.
You can kind of read, like the first time I read it, I was reading it like magical realism, like it. You assume that's the world and everyone's in it. But yeah,
well, that's what I thought.
It's like, oh, hang on, no. It's kind of showing a different side.
I was reading it again, and I think the Stacy girl can see. I think she comments on. Oh, now I can't remember because I was doing too many things at once this afternoon. I think Stacy notices her ears. I think. Whatever. But yeah, so that's when I realized that it was like, oh, okay, some people, okay. But the scene where the camera shows her, that confused me a little bit because I would have thought they would have drawn her as human, but I guess that makes sense that we see her as who she is. I don't know. That's just me.
It's the fourth wall, man. It's the fourth wall. It's, us as the reader looking at the thing that's not the characters, that's not in the world, It's complex.
Yeah.
Got layers, bro. Got layers.
But it was good. And just like last time I read it, now I'm hanging out for 2 all over again. And so I'm so glad that the Kickstarter's here. I have pledged. Go pledge comx.vip/Lana2. That'll take you there rather than trying to say it the whole Kickstarter URL. So yes, go check that
Sweet.
out. And you can get number 1 if you haven't already got it as part of the Kickstarter. So that's pretty awesome because 1 is awesome. And from what I've seen of the art in 2, Lauren Marshall's art has also improved. So that's even more awesome.
So good.
Because it was
So
awesome
good.
enough in that.
Yeah,
Cool.
yeah.
That's
good.
my little...
All right, very good. So I have read with my brain this one here, The Straits.
I don't know this one.
Yeah, so this one here. So this is it's by hang on, Aaron Harvey, Chris. Now apologies if I damage your name, Badenoch. Yeah. But so Bad Harvey's the two guys together. So this is your kind of classic horror at sea kind of thing. It's not your typical sort of thing. So it's a slower moving, gradually developing. I'll show you some of the artwork if I can do that without, so it's that kind of very clean style. Oh, boy, I don't want to go too far.
Oh, hang on. Yeah, well,
stuff happens. Underwater world, sharks and such.
Sharks, oh no.
Disagreements. I've got a goatee. So it's a quite a slow burn in terms of the story, and at the end of this issue is where things rapidly start to head in a downward direction. So it does have that kind of brooding, dark kind of feel to it, but it's much more evenly paced than. So it doesn't sort of hit you first page. So fans of the kind of Stephen King slow rolling, moving towards it. It's coming, but you're not quite there yet. That one there. It's a nice size book too. It's a decent chunky book. And I think I had a look online, badharvey.com. You can go there and grab this, and they've got a couple of others in there. They've got a couple of slash kind of grindhouse, murder mania kind of books on there as well, if you like that sort of stuff.
Awesome. I'll be checking that side out after this.
So that was my read. Oh, there's also a really cool thing that they have in here scattered throughout this sort of stuff where they have, that the old style kind of ads.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, they got a lot of that sort of stuff through there.
That's pretty cool.
And I like the way they have some of that in there that incorporates their own advertising as well. It's kind of cool. So anyway, that was my read this week.
Awesome. So, and then we can get that at badharvey.com. Was that what you said?
Hang on. Just look away, Spedsy, for 2 seconds. Not Spedsy, sorry, Sizzle for 2 seconds. I just want to see if that's going to come up again. Something just happened. Is it going to happen again? Yeah.
Oh, what's that? I didn't see that. I was looking away.
There was a turlet. There was a turlet that appeared twice, not once, twice in our broadcast, unannounced. Anyway, there you go. It threw me for a second.
Cheekiness.
Yeah. Tell you what. Anyway, what were we saying? Good show. Good lads. Good chatting with them. Go and get yourself Vamoose. All the Vamooses. Go and get Lana Luca. Have a look at Bad Harvey. Good night, New York.
Definitely. No, we'll be doing that. And just to show the better toilet, that's what we're talking about.
Yes. I mean, look at the crafting of that bowl and.
Oh, yes. So much more detail than that other fella.
Yeah, Gene, so it is badharvey.com, I think. But if you look up Bad Harvey, Harvey, HARVIE.
IE. Oh, okay.
IE. So IE, not EY. It's got that one. Hang on, where am I? There. Yeah.
Yep, cool.
Sweet.
Well,
all right.
That's the show. Thank you very much, Morgan. Another great Wednesday night.
Thank you, sir.
And
pleasure.
Thank you. And we shall go out with some retro niceness, retro goodness, awesomeness, whatever you want to call it. Have a good night, everyone. See you next Wednesday. Same AusComX Show time. Same AusComX Show channel. Damn it. I'm going to do it once. Just once I'm going to get it right. Just once. I'm going to try it every episode. I'm going to get it right one time. Damn it.